Yeah, there's absolutely no chance of that. I'm not like Dave Rubin, a giant sellout fraud
Wow.
who changed all of his positions and is totally useless and it shouldn't even be on here. He's just a waste of space.
Wow. Really? After what all Dave said about coming together?
Yeah. Yeah, no, got no interest in coming together with utter frauds like Dave Rubin. So, brother, you telling me that when you were on the Young Turks, you were Mr. Progressive and you agreed with us 100%. Now, all of a sudden, you agree with Trump 100%?
There it is. No debate, no ideas, just pure character assassination straight out of the gate. Cenk Uygur, the man who built a career screaming about corporate media and establishment corruption, immediately goes for the lowest personal attack possible. Giant sellout fraud. Totally useless. Waste of space. This is what the progressive left does when one of their own wakes up. They don't argue the points. They try to destroy the person. Dave Rubin left the Young Turks years ago, built his own audience, wrote a best-selling book, and refused to stay in the progressive plantation. For that crime, Cenk still can't let it go. Watch what happens next when the attack continues and Dave actually responds like an adult.
You're not saying something nuanced like we are. Hey, you know, when the guy gets shot at and he puts his fist up, that's courageous. When he does the McDonald's photo op and it works fine, no problem, right? If he wants to cut the Pentagon, great. Those are progressive positions. Anti-corruption, progressive position. Anti-war, progressive position. But you change all of your ideology overnight and you expect us to believe that that's real? I don't think it's real at all. And I want an apology from you for all the crazy, outrageous lies that you told about the Young Turks. When is that going to happen, huh? Wow. And when are you going to admit that you changed all your positions for money? Okay. Well, what position do you still have that's in any way a so-called classic liberal? You fraud,
Dave.
Piers, it's barely worth responding to this ridiculous buffoon who's the joke of the industry. I will say this, Cenk, I haven't spoken to you in 10 years.
Even right when you're thinking you're a total fraud.
I don't think he's a fraud or a joke. I think Dave Rubin is, for what it's worth, I think Dave Rubin is one of the most influential and significant voices out there right now. And I admire his honesty about the journey he's been on, Cenk.
Piers, I appreciate that, but you know the thing is, what Cenk just proved is exactly what everyone in America, and I would say all over the world, is getting over. Nobody wants what he just offered up there. Not only does no one believe it, and he had it prepackaged and ready to go, and it's complete drivel. Yes, I sold out. It's so nonsensical. Again, Cenk, I'll gladly send you a signed copy of the book and you can read all of my thoughts. And if you're anti-corruption and you're anti-war, you should be on the Trump train. But your endless hatred, the division that you sow, calling everyone racist and white supremacists, all of that stuff, it's why you're not respected. But I don't mean to get into the personal side of that. I'm talking about now something that culturally has shifted, and everyone can see the grift that you're up to, trying to sort of dance with the thing. But it's just not necessary, and I don't think that many people will buy it.
Well, Cenk, let me put to you, Cenk, something that Laura. Hang on, Cenk. Cenk, hang on. I'm gonna read you something just to see your reaction. But Laura Loomer called you out on X, as you know, and she said this: you are the radical left, Cenk Uygur. You're a con artist and an opportunistic grifter who's gotten rich off demonizing President Trump, calling his supporters fascists and Nazis, promoting open borders, glorifying Hamas, and pushing conspiracy theories about Trump for 9 years. If you want forgiveness, get on your filthy knees and pray to Allah, because you aren't welcome on the right and you aren't ever going to find a redemption arc no matter how hard you pander. And she goes on and on. I'm going to keep calling you out every time you try to move an inch closer to many on the right, because you're too dense and too dumb, because they're too dense and too dumb to decode your subversion, but I'm not. So look, there are lots of people on the right who think that you're on some great move here to, as she puts it, wiggle your way into the middle and over to the right, so you can then poison MAGA with your, as she puts it, subhuman political takes. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay, so look, this is, people like Laura Loomer and Dave Rubin are the exact problem. And I think actually somebody else on this panel was part of the solution. That's Dave Smith. And I want to come back to that in a second. So when you have people like Dave Rubin switch all of their positions, what happens is when you go to do nuance and you say, hey guys, hold on, let me explain. Hold on. Yeah. Hey, go pleasure Trump again. Go pleasure Trump again.
Cenk, do you know that
he goes from Bernie to Trump and pretends? Come on, brother. Come on, brother.
I tell people what I believe in.
What do you believe in? You believed in something yesterday. You don't believe in anything today.
Yeah, what position? What position do you think I hold that I don't honestly believe?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Can I answer the question? Can I answer Trump?
Yeah, what position do I say that I believe that I don't really believe? Go ahead.
Brother, you went on Fox News with Tucker Carlson. You went on Tucker Carlson on Fox News and said gay people, that the fact that the fire department was recruiting gay people was why there was forest fires. You're a national embarrassment, okay?
Right. If anyone
you pleasure those guys
that,
for a living.
You can pull up the clip tomorrow if you want.
Okay?
I was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that you shouldn't hire people based on their genitals or their sexual orientation. And we now all know that. You have been one of the prime pushers of all of this neo-racism. I believe in meritocracy, that whether you're going to be a doctor or a firefighter or a basketball player or anything else, you should be hired on your qualifications, not your genitals or sexual orientation or skin color. Yeah. That's actually America. So you can keep trying here.
Let's break down what just happened, because it's a masterclass in leftist projection. Cenk Uygur spent that entire segment demanding Dave Rubin apologize for what exactly? For changing his mind? For growing up? Then Piers drops the hammer and reads him Laura Loomer's tweet, calling him a con artist and an opportunistic grifter. And what does Cenk do? He doesn't refute it. He doesn't defend himself with facts. He pivots straight into attacking Dave Rubin's sexuality and drags in a Tucker Carlson clip about wildfires, completely misrepresenting what was actually said. Rubin was talking about hiring based on qualifications, not identity boxes. That's not a rebuttal. That's a smokescreen. Then comes the moment that should end this argument forever. Rubin looks Cenk dead in the eye and asks him to name one single position he holds today that he doesn't actually believe. One. Just one. And Cenk can't do it. He deflects into Russian propaganda, gets corrected on the spot. Rubin was never paid $100,000 a video. That's a fabricated smear, and then tries to bring up Jeffrey Epstein adjacent donor talk that has literally nothing to do with the question he was just asked. This is the pattern with the modern left every single time. They can't beat the argument, so they attack the person. They call it grift. They call it selling out. What they never do is actually engage with the ideas. Because the second you ask them to explain why someone's beliefs are insincere, they've got nothing. Cenk proved it live, on camera, in real time. Even his own panelist, Amala, jumped in mid-fight to say she thinks Rubin is one of the most influential and honest voices out there right now, from someone sitting right next to Cenk. That's the real story here. Dave Rubin didn't win this fight by yelling louder. He won it by staying calm and asking one simple question that Cenk Uygur, for all his years in media, could not answer.
Well, first off, I should note you don't have 10 years of videos of me saying anything about her, because we did leave on good terms. As a matter of fact, when I told her I was leaving, we went to Cenk on Melrose. I took her out for sangria, and she cried that because I was leaving, and I was bringing my producer with me. But putting that aside for a moment, if I can't explain any of my ideas, well, somehow this became a New York Times bestseller where I lay out all my classically liberal beliefs, and I've discussed them with you many times, and I believe in laissez-faire economics, and I believe in individual rights and all that. But what I would say, I think she's a little confused and perhaps was lied to by her employers about some of my behaviors or something like that. But I love the idea of anyone going through their own political evolution. You know, one of the things is that people go through it often in varying speeds. So I always say some people swallow the red pill and some people snort it, right? Some people just wake up overnight and they fully see it. I think one of the things that you have to do when you wake up is realize that many people have gone through this before you and that you might have wronged some people on the way there. So I was very glad to hear her say that she might have been wrong about Dave Rubin. Look, all it takes, honestly, like I know you know this, Piers, you've been in this game longer than me. You don't get any apologies in this business, and I don't like making things really about myself in that sense. But genuinely, if there was a mea culpa there or just a simple apology, maybe I didn't see things right about you, Dave, or whatever, I would gladly welcome anyone. And I don't mean to make this about her. If you're waking up to the ideas of liberty and limited government, especially post-COVID, and seeing what this ridiculous Democratic Party has become, and you want to agree to disagree and dive into the ideas and have that battle, I will do that with absolutely anybody. So look, an apology probably, I would say, would be warranted, but I don't sit there and wait for it. And I think there are much bigger forces at play here than just the interpersonal battle of two people.
Out of interest, I mean, if I could make it happen, would you debate her
Yes.
on Uncensored?
Yeah, 100. I said that on my show after we played that clip. If she, I'd be happy to do it with her live, just the two of us in studio. If you want to be the host or moderator, I'll do it under any condition, because again, I think there's something, I think it now represents something that could be unbelievably good for America.
Yeah.
Progressives who have called everybody racists and bigots and impugn motives. I mean, people just watched that compilation right there. Always going after people in the worst nature. If you've now woke up, and from what I understand, I've seen some of her tweets, she's now being attacked the same way she attacked me. So I would say, much like Bruce Willis said in Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. But we can be on the same side, even if we still have political disagreements. Okay, we don't agree on the marginal tax rate or the immigration rates or something like that. If you love America, if you think this place is fundamentally good, if we still have a country that will offer more opportunity for any other place, and you want to be part of that, yes, whatever the circumstances are, or the moderator is or isn't, I'd be happy to do it. But if it's you, that would be great.
You know, what's really interesting about what you just said, I totally agree with you, by the way.
Notice what Dave Rubin just did there. No insults, no screaming. He told the actual story. They left on good terms. There was a goodbye dinner. There were tears. And there wasn't a decade of him trashing his old colleague on camera. He laid out his classical liberal beliefs point by point: individual rights, free markets, laissez-faire economics, the same beliefs he wrote about in a New York Times bestseller. That's not confusion. That's a documented, consistent worldview. And then he did something almost nobody on the left ever does. He offered grace. He said if someone's waking up to the excesses of the modern Democratic Party, he'll welcome them with open arms, disagreements and all. He even offered to debate Anna Kasparian live, moderated by Piers, under any conditions. That's confidence. That's a man secure in what he believes. Compare that tone to what's coming next. Because the second Cenk Uygur gets the mic, all that maturity gets thrown out the window. Rubin extended an olive branch. Watch what Cenk does with it. He sets it on fire and throws it back in his face. This is the difference between someone who's actually thought through their politics and someone who's just angry that the world stopped agreeing with him. The classical liberal case Rubin just made isn't some overnight rebrand. It's the same worldview he's been defending in books, interviews, and debates for years. Keep that in mind for what happens next, because Cenk is about to claim Rubin can't explain a single one of his own beliefs. You just heard him do exactly that.